Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast with your hosts Dodd Abernathy, Jeff Copsetta, and Henry Sledge.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, your favorite World War II podcast. And I'm happy to announce we're back together, all as one, back again. Joining us, as always, the one and only Mr. Henry Sledge. Henry, how are we doing tonight?
Doing okay. Recovering from the arm surgery, so got my stitches out a few days ago, so I'm trying to get moving.
You held that information out on us, so we'll get to that in a moment. But next, he returns to the show, the man on the road, the only man who currently travels across the country, complete with his own Mae West vest, the one, the only Jeff Copsetta, coming live and in stereo from the wonderful state of New Jersey. Jeff, sir,
That's
how
right.
are you and your strange luggage going on your road trip, fella?
You know, you just never know when you're going to need an A2 and a Mae West. That's all I'm going to say.
Jeff tuned in on Zoom for those of you listening at home, and behind him there's a Mae West vest on a flight jacket with an Air Force Air Corps captain's hat, and both Henry and I said, well, your sister's got some nice decor. Must run in the family. Jeff's like, no. I brought it with me. You know, last week we were marveling at your roadside accommodations, if you will, on your truck with your inverter complete with Mr. Coffee attached to your console.
Yeah, my Keurig in my truck. I know a lot of people have been talking about that.
Now,
I mean,
inquiring minds want to know, does your truck come factory with an inverter, or did you pack one with you?
yeah. Oh, no, that's factory. That's factory equipment. That's a 2012 Ram. So, yeah. No, I didn't put that in for sure.
Henry, before we get to Jeff's road adventure tales,
Right.
did I miss out on a text message? Am I just like so wrapped up in my own nonsense that I didn't even hear the precursor to this hand surgery you're having?
No, I guess I didn't talk about it much. They had to go in and work. You can probably still see where they took the stitches out. They had to, my thumb was locked up, and then they had to do a debridement on my elbow tendon.
So he's got brand new G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip now.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually works now. So
Now, what did they call that
this
in the
This
hand?
was called, the name of the surgery, it's called trigger thumb, and they call it a pulley release. That's the procedure name.
Oh, I didn't know if you had
Pulley
like
release.
Duppertson's or whatever that's called. There's a certain sort of ailment that people get where they can't close their hands all the way. It's called like Duppertson syndrome or something like that.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. The elbow thing, I will tell you what started that. I mean, it got aggravated from working out, but the whole problem started from 2017 to 2020. I played in a
Women's roller
garbage
league
hockey
team.
league. Huh?
I said women's roller derby league.
No, it was actually I played ice hockey, but and I would spend hours practicing my shot on a shooting mat, into a goal, and that just irritated the tendon and damaged the tissue, and then it would get better, and then like working out and stuff would exacerbate it and cause it to flare up, and it just finally I had to do something about it. So
In the 90s, I transitioned from skateboarding to street rollerblading and some minor street hockey, and I can carry that over into a decent night of ice skating, but I do not have the skills to play hockey. Mad props to you for that. I mean,
it's okay. I didn't either.
well, hence the busted elbow. But even if you could play enough, I mean, hockey's one of the things it's really two skills in one. You got to know how to ice skate proficiently, and then you got to know how to play hockey.
Yeah,
it
sucked for me because I didn't even start skating until I was, over 50. So
wow.
But I played in 142 games, and it was garbage league. Like it was a learning league.
Sure.
My son played, and when he was from 7 to 12, and that's what got me interested in it. Then they had an adult league, so.
I skated quite often as a kid. Like I said, I did the rollerblade thing, and then I skated until I was like, I don't know, 17, 18. Then I just took a short 20 years off and didn't get back into it until I was in my early 30s, because when I was working the radio, the radio stations would always do these different little outings depending on the advertiser. And one of the things we were doing was the guys from Slapshot was coming to town, and they were going to be at the local minor league baseball stadium, and we were having the night over there. So we turned that into a go skate with Stan and Haney, who I used to produce for.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, so Stan, who used to play hockey in high school until he burnt his foot in a deep fryer. That's a different story for a different time. But so he he got his ice skates out and he was getting back into it, and he was looking online and he found basically a new version of the pair he used in high school. So he just gave to me a nice pair of damn near brand new Bauer skates. Like, here you go. I'm like, sweet.
Wow.
So I just started going ice skating all the time again. And
Cool.
I was able to pick it up for the most part. Like I said, it took 20 years off, but I was never, I can't hockey stop. I mean, like I said, I can skate fast and make for a good night of recreational ice skating with the family, but there's no way I could play hockey. That's just way too out of my league. How's your kid's mountain bike stuff?
It's
well, no,
good.
You said it's up, but he's running now?
Well, yeah, he's doing cross country running. Mountain bike season's over. He did do a pair of not league races, but he did a couple races a couple weeks ago here in Birmingham. But yeah, he's running cross country, and then they started morning football workouts. So that'll be for the summer deal,
Now, forgive me, I never showed much interest in extracurricular athletics in high school because I was a bit of a dick. But when high school kids run cross country, how many miles are they running on a normal?
Jack, how many miles you guys running cross country? 3 or 4 miles.
Okay, so doing like a 5K. Cool. Well, this is a perfect segue because we did just come off of Father's Day, and everybody here, including everybody here, were all fathers. And so, what did you do for Father's Day, Henry?
Man, we stayed put. We were here.
Yeah.
Took it easy, I brought my mom over.
Nice.
That's getting tough. She's 95, so she has, she struggles getting up these stairs and stuff. So
yeah, I got up. It rained a little bit. We went out to try to get some food. It was pouring down rain, so basically went to some joint that had a small jaunt from the car to the front door. Ate, and then we were going to go see Maverick, and it's like the movie theater's going to be packed. It's pouring down rain. Do we really want to get flooded? But go get completely drenched and then sit in an ice cold meat locker AC movie theater for 2.5 hours? Like, no, we'll go another day. And so I came home and passed out, and pretty much that was it. But Jeff, as we said, has been on the road. He's been the road warrior, and he's got lots of travel, lots of story and intrigue. So that's why I kind of got Henry and mine's little stuff out of the way, because we're going to hand this episode over to Jeff and get caught up in his going-ons in the world. The man who travels with his own Mae West vest, because you never know when traffic on Interstate 60 East. What'd you take to get to? What interstate did you take? What goes east?
So for me, I got to pick up I-35 north to 20 to 30 around Dallas. 30 takes it to Little Rock, pick up 40. Dinner in Memphis, 40 all the way to 81, come up through Virginia, then you're in DC, Baltimore, and then you're here.
See, that
29 hours.
That is the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast difference, because on any other podcast, the host would say, I don't know, I just put it in Google Maps and hit navigate. Not Jeff. He's got the whole damn thing memorized.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We may need to call this What's the Rabbit Hole podcast. I don't know. We've talked about everything already.
No, that's kind of the point. I mean, we're getting to it. So
I love talking about hockey, but
so lead us down the road, no pun intended. You're heading out east to be with your family, but you figure while I'm on the road, let's check out some sites. So where did your road take you?
Yeah, so well, when I'm from New Jersey, so when I lived here as a kid, I volunteered at a really cool little regional airport, almost identical to the museum I'm running now in Vernon. I mean, it's small town regional airport. They throw an air show out there, a couple public programs, some really cool aircraft, but nothing like the big city type stuff. So my goal was to definitely make a stop there. Now I'm not gonna be able to get there till Friday, but like I said, staying here at my sister's in beautiful Williamstown, New Jersey. I mean, it is. I forgot how beautiful the southern part of the state really is. Just I miss the woods, and it's beautiful.
Well, that's kind of the weird thing about, you live in Texas. There's some greenery, but it's pretty similar to California Scape or even Florida Scape for that endpoint. And and I remember when I moved back from California, I was driving through Georgia and all that. I forgot how nice it was to see the different shades of greens and the different plants and the vegetation. And I'm sure you feel the same way being in Texas for all the time and going to New Jersey and just seeing all the different vegetation. Like, I forgot all about all this stuff.
I mean, the trees they dwarf the telephone poles along the sides of the road, So So anyways, yeah, I definitely wanted to make a few World War II related stops, put some stuff together for this episode, and just to see some places, I didn't get a chance to see when I lived here as a kid. So first stop the other day was the Millville Army Airfield Museum. And guys, oh my gosh, I met the director of that museum there, and I had to tell her before I left. So this is, I've been in the biggest World War II museums in the country.
Sure.
I've seen them. I worked for one of them for 5 years. I've never seen artifacts so curated so well, displayed. It was just so intriguing the way they did this. And you go on their website and it looks like it's maybe a Quonset hut sized building with artifacts in it. It's huge, and it's been growing. It had very humble beginnings. I want to say in the late 60s is when it kind of got started. But it's on an original Army airfield base that was the first in defense in New Jersey. It was a P-47 fighter group base.
Really?
And,
oh yes.
Oh yeah, man.
You got me a P-47, man.
Dude. The murals on the sides of the buildings were just amazing, very inviting as you're going in there. And it just seemed like that place never ended. It was unbelievable. And some of the ways that they displayed these artifacts, here, let me put it this way. There's nothing in there I probably really haven't seen, right? We're World War II buffs. We're going okay, I've seen that. That's cool, right? I took 74 pictures in there.
Wow.
So that should
cool.
kind of give our listeners an idea. If it's grabbing me like that, it's that well done. Some of their displays to show what the inside of a barracks would look like. So they've got bunks with an original coal stove. There's a bucket of coal there. The guy's boots are up under the bunk. The bunks are made. The mannequins are so well done. They've got behind glass, they've got a male and a female mannequin of a service member in his dress uniform and his wife in her beautiful wedding gown, and displayed with it is the picture of them when they got married. So things like that you typically wouldn't expect. When you go into an air museum. It's also home to the Link. They have a Link trainer built a separate building where these guys, and if our listeners aren't familiar with the Link trainer, they need to look it up. This is our first flight simulator. Came out in the late 1920s. This is how Jimmy Doolittle could make his flight completely on instrumentation. That's the technology used. So I think there's 3 of them on display now. Highland Lakes Air Museum in Burnett has 1. And I thought we were lucky to have the 1, but these folks have 3. They have the crabs that are actually, drawing out their flight path on the desk. It's connected to the flight simulator. So just unbelievable. They were super nice. There was a very special World War II veteran that had since passed away. He was an integral part of it. His wife is still there, greeting you at the door, handing you these packets. Wow. The newsletter is so well done. And Lisa, who's the executive director of the museum, she's been there for 17 years, and you can tell under her leadership, this place is just soaring. Nice outside equipment as well. Get to see a really nice A4 Skyhawk that's an actual combat vet. They had a local group of kids paint it up to put it back to the squadron colors that it would have flown on. I can't remember the name of the carrier it was based on. And, a couple vehicles outside, fire trucks and a howitzer, things like that. Cool location, awesome museum. Super nice folks. They handed me and my sister these really cool t-shirts with a P-47 on it. So heck of a stop. Heck of a stop right there.
Let me ask you, with all of your experiences in museums, like you said, you've worked for the big ones and the small ones, and I'm looking at some of the photos you posted on YouTube, on Facebook, on social media, Instagram. And what is it about the way they did their displays? Because it looks like, this is a modest museum with modest funding. Do you think maybe because the funding is modest enough that it forces them to put more detail into what they're displaying and make sure everything's accurate, or is there more of a personal touch to it? What is it? Because once again, you've been to all of them. What is it that just completely blew you out of the water about this place that maybe you'll take back to what you do to your museum?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I took away from it is, you know, it's nice to see something that's not under glass with this primo lighting and 68 degrees. Like, I understand the curation part of that for the sustainment of the artifact, but I think there has to be a little bit of a give and take, because there is stuff that they probably have multiple of, maybe.
Yep.
But there's stuff you could walk up and touch it. You know, a couple bicycles from England. There was a Swiss bicycle, messenger bicycle. Just the like I said, the barracks scene. I mean, you're not going to ruin the wool blanket. You know, let people kind of look at it. So there was a lot easier, I think, for photographing. It was very inviting because you're not dealing with a lot of glare on the glass. You know, you can, I don't know, it just submerges you in it, and there's so much stuff. And I can't answer this question. I don't know how they did it. There was so much stuff in there, yet not cluttered.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, sadly, of the Southwest Florida Military Museum and Library, who did not make it through the pandemic. I mean, they're still open, but they were used to be in a building that was the footprint of choose your grocery store, whether you're Kroger's or Ralph's, a Trader Joe's, a Publix, whatever, Kroger, whatever your grocery store is in your neighborhood. Imagine taking that and turning it into a museum. When then they got relegated down to what used to be the Disney store in our mall. And so because of the rent and they survived strictly on donations, and the pandemic just destroyed them. But they were the same way. And I'm looking at these photos, and to me, the only thing I can come up with, now obviously I haven't been there, but kind of based on what you're saying, to me, and you hear this a lot about people's real nice houses. People's houses either look lived in or they look like museums and are super sterile and uncomfortable. This looks like a museum that's quote unquote lived in, like you said. It's not sterile. It's not all glass and accent lighting and, you know, don't touch. It has it almost has like an antique store feel to it.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Very warm and inviting. You know, the super important stuff is under glass, but there's plenty of things that aren't. And you know, it's definitely, I can see why it would excite you so much to be in there, because that was one of my favorite museums we had here, and it was the same way. I mean, it was just, everything was put together, and like I'm looking at the bunk beds with the boots underneath and the uniforms hanging on, and I can definitely see how it's would incite your excitement. Because sometimes, and when you have a place that's that packed but not cluttered, like you said, before you know it, I've spent 20 minutes in this one corner, opposed to, okay, in this 5-foot span, there's one artifact with a description and a bunch of nice Formica. Okay, let's go over here. So I can definitely see how that would excite you. Now, did you see anything that's, we could do that. I've never thought about displaying something that way, or anything that kind of set off a little light bulb in the back of your mind for stuff you can do at your museum?
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, the way the stuff was displayed in some of those areas, it took me a second look as I'm kind of like coming back through, because you go in and you kind of have these wings that go back, you know, from like a central area. So, you know, it flows very well. You kind of go down one side, you've got everything on the outs, you know, on the walls, and you've got like a center aisle. So it took me till I was coming back from one of these wings to look at this stuff again. Wow, that's just, it was basically almost like a workbench, 4x4s and 2x8s, built some of these platforms along the walls, painted in navy gray, and you put the right stuff in the right place on it, and you don't even realize how, you know, inexpensive some of these exhibits are. Some of the cases, I mean, none of the cases are exactly symmetrical as far as your glass cases in it. They make it work beautifully, and it blew me away. Gave me a whole different perspective. It was exactly like walking into an antique shop. You just unbelievable, man. It was just the offices for the staff and the volunteers. There's cubicles built within the museum.
Nice.
I mean, so they're submerged right with you. They're right there. You know, they're not somewhere upstairs in some vault. They're right there. So, but it didn't take away from the experience one bit.
Plus, I would assume since they have a desk that's centrally located in one area, after a while of sitting in that one area and answering questions about those artifacts around your desk, they're probably going to get pretty proficient on the history of those artifacts within 20 feet of their desk. They can probably answer just about any
super
question.
Knowledgeable. Yeah, super knowledgeable. They got a C. I forgot to mention they have a C-47 cockpit. Just that front portion of the aircraft, all renovated and painted up. Really nice deck that kind of takes you up so you can walk inside and see what it looked like. You can tell a lot of blood and sweat went into that project. And they even took the time. It's the little stuff, right? So they even took the time when you're on this landing and one of the docents was taking us through, we're kind of standing before he opened the door, kind of telling us about it, the shape that it was in. I think it was actually an R4D that they, painted up to look like a C-47. And on this wooden deck, on the 1x6, planking on the deck part that you're standing on, they painted the deck boards with the Normandy invasion stripes.
Nice.
That was slick, So just like I said, little details like that, just super, super well done. And when you pull up, you can feel people like us, man, you feel the history. You kind of get that tingle and you can just feel the history there. I mean, they're showing you pieces of the aircraft, P-47s, found in a field, these guys in training that crashed, cylinders.
Do you know what group it was? What fighter group it was? Oh my gosh.
There was a whole list on the front door. I mean, there was 4 or 5. And wow. I want to say on their website that they mentioned the 56th, which I don't know if it gets.
Wasn't that Gabreski?
It was Zemke's Wolfpack, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and my favorite P-47, Bud Mahiran's, the Spirit of Atlantic City, that famous P-47. Boy, that thing is everywhere in there. I love seeing some of those photos, and yeah, man, it's just wall to wall. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I'm looking on the website now. Actually, no, this is the South Jersey Cultural Alliance, who has a page dedicated to them.
Split my screen here.
But yeah, you guys can pull some stuff up. So they've got a great selection of books at a very fair price. So I'll show you just some of the titles I came home with.
Sure.
This is a really nice one here. Basically just photographs taken during the filming of Saving Private Ryan. Lots of behind the scenes type stuff, things that you don't see during the film, but every picture is from the movie. With I think there was a forward in here somewhere by Steven Spielberg, I want to say. They've got excerpts from Stephen Ambrose in here as well. Just really cool book about the movie. Couldn't pass this one up.
Nice.
Bloody Aachen. I'm not familiar with this one. Familiar with the battle, but not this particular book. I know Don will probably appreciate this one. Carlson's Raid.
Oh, Carlson's Raiders. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, by George Smith. Yeah, that's about their assault on the island of Macon.
Yeah, you'll have to give me a synopsis on that once you get done reading it.
Absolutely. This one's great. Posters that won the war. I flipped through this. I've already looked at every page. Haven't read every caption on it yet. But some really neat kind of behind this, not behind the scenes, but just some history.
That there?
I got all these books there. Oh yeah, okay. They've got a great selection of books. Very, very fairly priced books. I guess my only comment is if people pick up this book, the caption is not necessarily next to the picture. It can be confusing. So when you're reading, you have to look. It'll have the page number like above the caption. Not necessarily that's what's next to the picture you're seeing. So
is it because there's so much information on each picture?
So yeah. Exactly.
Here's one picture, but here's 5 pages about the history of how this.
Right. And some they leave pure without any words on all. It's just like a centerfold of the poster. So you got to wait a couple pages to see the caption. And then picked up this one here. Kind of a coffee table book, hardbound book about Pearl.
Wilmot, H.P. Wilmot. Yeah.
I haven't even cracked that one open yet, and couldn't turn down a DVD at 12 o'clock high.
Oh yes,
can't turn that down. And I wasn't aware of this, but it actually stuck inside of here. These nice postcard-sized photographs. Yeah, during filming of 12 o'clock high as well.
Oh man,
nice
I love that movie.
That came in there. Yeah. So. Needless to say, that was a successful stop. And, for my sister to enjoy it as much as she did, I was a little bit leery going in. I was just kind of thinking, are you sure? Because I may spend some time in there. I had to drag her out, So, yeah, I mean, she got to sit in the Link trainer. We got the whole VIP tour. I don't know, an hour and a half probably. Had the place to ourselves. I mean, they were just classy people, just very, very classy. So that was my first stop that has to do with World War II. Then I had a very exciting day. Oh, my background's changing again. It's okay. I'm on the road here.
It's dynamic.
Growing up, so I was in New Jersey for the first 16 years of my life. I had never seen the battleship New Jersey, sitting right there in the water. So
just one of those things you take for granted while you're there.
Probably, I guess.
Kind of like living in Florida and never go to the beach.
Same thing. Yeah, one of those things. I've still never seen the Statue of Liberty. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I saw the Grand Canyon when I was like 4. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted to see what a BB-63, I think it is, most decorated ship in the history of the United States. First went into action, I think 1 year anniversary after Pearl Harbor. I think it entered service December of 42. I didn't get a chance to go on the ship. That was something I have planned for a later time, but I at least got to go up and see it. So that was definitely pretty slick. That same day, I may have mentioned on this podcast before, we've got some really neat antique vehicles that were in the estate of the family here, and some of them are still, some of my uncles and aunts are stewards of these vehicles. So got a chance to drive a couple of them. One of them having a World War II connection. It's a 1937 Railton, and it is basically, it's not as easy as how cars are made today. There was a British, the guy's name was Reed Railton. I want to say he was a race car driver or motorcycle racer of some sort. Goes back to England, wants to design these cars like an American standard, but using American vehicles, but with British styling. So that was kind of these hybrid vehicles, and it was owned by his name went by Lord Abercromby. He was the third Lord Abercromby. He was one of the lords that was at the Second Munich, which that wasn't really a thing till I think the 90s that meeting had actually happened. Kind of a pal, I guess you could say, advisor to Churchill. But an interesting story. He bought that car in 39 and had it for quite a few years. Bought it simply for, he wanted to go hunting and he was going there and here. And I guess I need a vehicle to be a lot quicker. So he buys this car and had it for quite some time. It was a convertible that started to rot. So he literally put a thatch roof on this car.
Nice.
And it was sometime decades later, he wanted to try to see if this car was still around. Contacted my grandfather. They wrote letters back and forth to get the history of this car and how it served during World War II with the third Lord Abercromby. So that was a really cool experience for me to be able to do that. So yeah, a lot of cool history. Then to kind of top it off, I got the opportunity to go into Al Capone's mansion that he lived in for about a year when he was on the run. I think he was there most of the year 1927. Was purchased, I guess, pretty recently by a guy who's basically going to turn it into a museum. So it's basically decorated like Capone's about to walk in.
That's awesome.
So had the place to ourselves. He was out there working and just happened to ask if we could go in. He said, absolutely. We went in every room, including seeing the vault, kind of hidden, with a big steel door where all of the bootleg, was kept. So beautiful, man. I don't even remember how many bathrooms. You guys can look it up. It's a big 36-acre estate. Had its own lake, a detached 7-car garage. But the gardener, we just struck up a conversation. It's beautiful. FDR and Winston Churchill had visited this estate after it was sold off, after Capone had it. It was bought by some other wealthy people. So it's just like this time capsule. I mean, it's just trees, it's a lake, it's beautiful gardening, a beautiful mansion overlooking this. I mean, it was just so secluded. You had to know where it was at to find it. I mean, like I said, he's on the run. And you can see there's little like sneak away doors like from the kitchen. It looks like a window, but it opens and you can get out of there. All these little hidey holes in the walls, and I mean, who knows, right? But the gardener found out that I was a World War II buff, and we started talking. And she has a good friend whose father, on VE Day, he was a P-51 pilot serving over in Europe, and on VE Day, flies his P-51 under the Eiffel Tower. You can imagine that made news.
Mm-hmm.
The guy lived an incredible life. The family said he led the life essentially of a history buff's dream. Fascination with airplanes started when he saw the movie, All Quiet on the Western Front. That's kind of where it started. Didn't really talk about his service, I think, till the 70s. And one of the favorite stories he told was somewhere over northern France. He's chasing this German fighter, and he ends up getting shot down by French ground troops. And I just kind of...
Probably the only thing they ever hit.
Did she say the name of the gentleman who passed away?
Absolutely, yeah. His name is Colonel Robert A. Shawn. Not Shaw, like the actor. Shawn, S-H-A-W-N. There's a great Washington Post article that should pull up about him. So yeah, this French general, of course, he crash lands. He's okay, but this French general's like, sorry, man, So busts out a bottle of cognac. All is forgiven. And then he tells another story that I would have loved to have heard him tell it firsthand. But sometime during the Battle of the Bulge, he is refused a meal in an officers' club because he's wearing a dirty flight suit. And he tells him, like, look, I haven't had a hot meal in 2 days, and they're pushing him away. So he pulls out his 45, and he got his hot meal that day. But lived to be the ripe old age of 100. He passed away about 2 years ago. He was a big, car nut. I think it says he bought a PT Cruiser at the age of 98 because he liked the way it looked. And died at 100 years old in his sleep. Just didn't wake up one day. But Robert A. Shawn, the P-51 pilot that flew under the Eiffel Tower on VE Day. And there's another story that says that he came home with 100 cases of Dom Perignon.
Fantastic. Now, for those of you at home saying, really, could this guy possibly fly underneath the spans of the Eiffel Tower, or is this family lore? Apparently, he's not the only one to have done so. So this is actually, at least we've known, done twice, because I was trying to find a story on him, but apparently there's a young gentleman who recently passed away. World War II aviator Bill Overstreet Jr., best known for flying beneath the Eiffel Tower in pursuit of German planes. So apparently it's been done on record. So this guy, Bill Overstreet Jr. has a record of doing it while chasing Germans. So apparently, this is very doable and has been done at least twice. But yeah, that's very cool. It's nice to, when you can track down something that kind of gives proof that it's doable and it has been done by multiple people. So that's very, very cool. And it's just one of those things of how small the world is. Here you are at a Al Capone place of all places, not World War II, Al Capone.
Yeah.
And you're talking to the gardener, and they just, that would be such a,
that
would have been such a great. Let me ask you guys this: did you find the Al Capone Museum and story interesting enough that maybe we would possibly do if we can get someone from that museum on, maybe for one episode, go away from World War II and maybe talk Al Capone one night?
Oh, I don't see why not. The museum's not open.
No, but the guy who's putting this together clearly knows enough about it that if we reached out to him, I'm sure he would be able to at least give us 30 minutes worth of content on it.
I would think so. I've got kind of another. I've got something else brewing.
Sure.
What's today? Monday. So Wednesday. Speaking of the antique car collection, my grandfather, he sold it. No longer owns it now, but it was a 1930 Auburn, and Amelia Earhart had one identical.
Nice.
So identical, in fact, that I'm going to meet the man this the old timer now, who took Amelia Earhart's car apart to build my grandfather's. Now, like I said, my grandfather's is gone. I heard that somehow there's some connection with Trump that owns the car now. I'm not exactly sure the connection there.
No. Did I mishear you, or did you say that basically he parted out Amelia's car to build your grandfather's?
Basically, apparently that's what happened.
Nice. She was so rough on it that she blew it up, and it was worth nothing that she left it at the mechanic, who then parted it out to build Jeff's grandfather's car.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the story. So, that's something else too. That would be kind of an interesting aviation theme pre-World War II. Enough to be able to do an episode on. I don't know, but there's just so much history out there too, man.
That's kind of the cool thing about having family members who are involved in hobbies that have serial and or VIN numbers. It's easy to trace provenance and track things down, and it makes that community even smaller. So that's very cool that, because of that VIN number, you can track down who currently has it or who possibly bought it, and you hear those stories all the time where like somebody who finally makes it a station in life where they have the ability to like track down their dad's car when he was 16 that he sold when he was 22 and like rebuy it and restore it, and those stories are always pretty damn cool. Well,
and that's how the Lord found the Railton. It's just got a license plate, a British license plate on it. It doesn't change. It goes with the car. It's a 6-digit, and then that's it. That's the car. That's the Railton. So, yeah.
Which, by the way, I looked up the Railton that it's named after. You said guy was a racer. He actually had the world speed record for a while. So not only was he a designer, but he was a land speed record holder for a while during his day.
Yeah, Reed Railton. Yeah, it's pretty slick. It was just one of the Railtons. I don't know which model, because I think there was 5 or 6 manufacturers that made them, and they put his name on it. Was the fastest car off the line at one time in the 30s.
And I'll tell you right now, 195 in a 1930s model car is a hell of a lot scarier than 180 in a Tesla. I'll tell you right now.
Absolutely. I want to say the specs on this particular one, which is a Claremont, is 0 to 60 in 8.8 seconds.
That's
you're like entering the Earth's atmosphere.
I was going to say, that's open cab, drum brakes, no power steering, mechanical brakes, wood frames. Not even, they probably didn't have air inflated tires. It was probably the old thick white rubber ones like you see on old wheelchairs. Just
yeah. I mean, it was actually, it was easier to drive than I thought. Of course, the steering wheel's on the right, so shifting with the left, but it was surprisingly easy to drive. It was pretty slick. I mean, almost 100 years old, and you could take it down the road.
I don't want to be that guy, but that stuff was made before the advent of what do they call that? Intentional obsolescence or wear and tear parts or whatever phraseology you want.
Throw away.
What's that?
Throw away stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Planned obsolescence. That's the phrase we're looking for.
Planned obsolescence.
You got any? You want to jump in or have any questions for Jeff on this, Henry, on his travels?
No, man. I'm just enjoying. God, I'm still thinking about the Millville Air Museum.
Hey.
I'm gonna go check their website out tomorrow.
No,
do it, and I'm gonna send. I've got Lisa's business card. I'm gonna send her a link. I told her, I said I also do this, and she goes, "Oh, I'm gonna tell everybody that that you came through." And I said, "Well, when the episode drops, I'll send her a link." And I just can't say enough about it, guys. I mean, it's just a little town in a beautiful part of South Jersey. How many of our listeners are in Jersey? I don't know, maybe one. And they're probably related to me, but as we grow, as word gets out, because let's face it, how many World War II museums didn't make it through the pandemic?
A lot,
sadly. And it was impressive, that they could stay open as long as they have, and again to see their very humble beginnings and the location. You can build a museum anywhere, I guess, but to have it at the airfield, you're right there. You're looking at the runway from these buildings, the link trainer building, the barracks where these guys were,
Is the runway still functioning?
Oh yeah, there's an FBO right there. It's a regular public
so it's an FBO
airport.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And real quick, back to the USS New Jersey, BB-62, as you lovingly called it. Here's a little fun fact. I'm sure you may have heard on your tour, but probably fell into all the bags of other information. The USS New Jersey, otherwise known as the Big J, earned more battle stars for combat action than any of the other 3 completed Iowa-class battleships, and was the only U.S. battleship providing gunfire support during Vietnam War. So that thing had some life to it.
And I think it's the last battleship class before they became obsolete, like 91. I think
Yeah, they're
it was
showing.
the
There's
last serving.
photo of it here underway in 1985. Let me go down the.
Where did BB-62, like in World War II, where did she spend most of her time?
I think mostly in the Pacific.
Yes, it said the New Jersey in particular shelled targets on Guam and Okinawa and screened aircraft carriers conducting raids in the Marshall Islands. During the Korean War, she was involved in raids up and down the North Korean coast, after which she was decommissioned in the United States Naval Reserve Fleet, better known as the Meatball Fleet. She was briefly reactivated in 1968 and sent to Vietnam to support the U.S. troops before returning to the Mothball Fleet. That's why I said meatball. No, this guy said mothball the first time. Anyhow, returning to the Mothball Fleet in 1969, reactivated once more in 1980 as part of the 600-ship Navy program. The New Jersey was modernized to carry missiles and recommissioned into service. In 1983, she was a participant in the U.S. operations during the Lebanese Civil War. The New Jersey was decommissioned once again for the last time in 1991 after serving a total of 21 years in the active fleet, having earned the Navy Unit Commendation for service in the Vietnam and 19 battles and campaign stars for combat operations during World War II, the Korea War and Vietnam War, the Lebanese Civil War, and service in the Persian Gulf. After a brief retention in the Mothball Fleet, she was donated to the Home Port Alliance in Camden, New Jersey, and has been a museum ship starting there since October 15th of 2001.
Yeah, it's really well done, and the Philadelphia, the Delaware River right there is not very wide. The story is beautiful. You're sitting on this sail ship looking over at Battleship New Jersey.
Wow.
And then right behind you is the cruiser Olympia from 1895. And moored right next to that is a submarine. I don't remember the name of that, but they're all just sitting right there. So you can have a sushi roll on the Manchulu like I did, looking at the Battleship New Jersey lit up, and there's just so much history, so much. So, yeah, like I said, I didn't get to go in the tour on the New Jersey, not yet, but that's definitely going to happen. Yeah, that's why we do this, guys. We got to keep this stuff afloat.
Oh yeah, man.
No pun intended.
It's making me want to get out and see some stuff.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
so they have which submarine is sitting by the New Jersey?
It starts with a B, and I can't remember if it was
Bowfish or Bowfin or something like that.
No, it was something. It was not. I did not recognize it, and I want to say I was inside of that as a kid.
Yeah.
So I probably have something somewhere on it.
It sounds like the basic setup they have down here in Mobile, south of me, about 4. They got the Alabama BB-60
right.
and the Drum, the USS Drum.
Okay.
Sitting right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Olympia, that looks amazing. I mean, that just it looks like it's from Teddy Roosevelt's like Great White Fleet. I mean, it is. You could see the gun turret. You could just see the age. You're looking at that compared to the New Jersey. These old turrets that just kind of swing around, kind of like what you saw in those early tanks of the First World War. A wooden helm up there, just you could really see the age on that one. And just the early technology of some of those naval guns. I mean, it's just bristling with guns everywhere. Incredible. But
yeah, I'm trying to search the Home Port Alliance submarine, but it just keeps pulling up documentation on the New Jersey. So
just pull up Cruiser Olympia, because they're kind of paired. They're kind of one tour. It's just called like Historic Ship Tour, and it's those two that are
submarine BECUNA.
That's it. Bakuna.
Bakuna, yeah, Cruiser Olympia and Submarine Bakuna.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to find photos of it on here, but yeah, so that sounds like the place to go if you're into naval stuff. I mean, that's another one of those topics we don't cover a whole hell of a lot here on the show, and we need to get some people on here who know a lot more about the Navy and all that. But it sounds like if you're in the Navy vessels and you're up in the East Coast, that's the place you want to go to see some fantastic displays.
Absolutely. And I've got one more for you. It was actually where I went today. I kind of slipped my mind. I went to the New Jersey Maritime Museum, and I'll be sharing pictures with you guys soon. Mostly about shipwrecks.
Okay.
And a lot of the stuff that's beached up again. So it's on Long Beach. There's a little skinny island on the coast of New Jersey. A lot like what Texas has, Port Aransas and Mustang Island. So there's like a little channel between the main body, and then you've got Long Beach Island, and that's where it's located. So you can just imagine the kind of stuff that's washed ashore there.
Yeah.
So really neat history. I learned about a cruiser that had a tragedy that equivalent to the Titanic, not 22 years later, in 1934, the Morro Castle, sailing from Havana, Cuba to New York, ends up catching fire. They later find out it was arson by one of the crew. Over 100 people lost their lives, and it beached right there at Asbury Park. I mean, just this huge cruise liner, and nothing the size of the Titanic, but a large ship, just cruise and still on fire. So these, civilians are just going out there with their boats, pulling, rescuing these folks in. It was just a terrible story. But then a lot of stuff about Second World War and some of the cargo ships is one. There was a porthole from it in 1942 that was, hit by a torpedo, was torpedoed by a German sub. Early on, knowing the Germans were all up and down New Jersey, patrolling there at the early part of the war. So neat history there. A lot of neat World War II uniforms and pictures and artifacts from different ships from the Second World War. So I'll be sharing that stuff with you guys as well. So
that's one of those
covered up in history.
That's one of those facts that we don't talk too much about, is the amount of activity of German subs all along the United States during the war. Because I was reading, I'm in that reading that book, The Fatal Dive, and they're talking about when that sub first left its pen from being created. It was the most technical sub of its time, and before they made their way to the Pacific, they chased a few Germans out of our waters, but never got into any action with them. But it's just one of those things that's really not discussed, with maybe a little brief snippet that's attached to why we may or may not have daylight savings times and this and that, because the blackout times during the war because of potential submarine attacks. But that's one of those things that we don't really think too much about, the threat to our nation during the wartime from submarines.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know there was some damage done by a Japanese sub, wasn't there, that knocked out a tunnel or a bridge on the Southern Pacific Railroad, I think, in California somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So and the book I'm reading now, I mentioned last episode about the flying forts, to really understand the history of what we were trying to do with a 4-engine bomber that everybody wanted to cancel the project on. To be able to reach out, it was more for coastal defense. It was not a flying fort in the essence of an offensive posture and bombing, the enemy heartland. It was more bombing these ships long before coastal artillery had to go into action. So that posture, of course, naturally developed in the late 30s and, of course, into the Second World War. But it's interesting to see how important, how vital our coastal defense really was. And it's just such a back index page, in history of the Second World War, and how many folks, it took to man those battle stations all along our coast. It's an interesting, interesting thing to think of.
It's funny, a lot of us growing up, and especially in the smaller towns, and every town I think was a little different. When I was growing up in Grove City, the suburbs, it was every Wednesday at noon you would hear the going off.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do they do that? That's just carryover from when they deployed that stuff as air, potential air raid sirens during the war, and they just carried them over, and now they just use them for whatever local potential emergency situation. They just test them out. Like I said, back when I was growing up, it was every Wednesday at noon. You knew when it was noon on Wednesday when you heard the air raid sirens going off. It's pretty crazy. Just little things like that we don't even think of anymore. Because now it'll just be notifications through your cell phone. Get under your couch. So when are you heading back home?
A week from today.
Are you going to make any stops on the way back, or are you just going to make the long haul?
Yeah, I got to get back to the wife and kiddos. That's for sure.
So you made the trip by yourself?
Yeah, I'm a fighter pilot for 2 weeks, guys.
Nice. That's a long drive by yourself.
Well, it's like I said, I did 19 hours the first day.
Wow.
To make the second day a short 10-hour trip. But you know, I haven't been back here in a while. You know, Walking Point was supposed to have the big premiere in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and that was scheduled 2 months after COVID started. So this is my first opportunity back, and you know, my wife knows that I needed a little bit of family time.
Yeah.
You know, with my brother and sisters and my uncles and aunts and everybody. This is where the Copsetas, you know, this is where we started when my great grandfather was stationed at the Philadelphia Naval Yards, you know, in the Navy eons ago. So this is the history. This is where we come from. And it's always nice to come back. So yeah, I'm gonna hightail it home and plan a trip next year with all of us again, because you know, with all 4 kiddos, it's a bit of logistics to make the trip, but we're gonna make it work.
Well, as we get older, it's so hard for everyone to get together, with the exception of, unfortunately, funerals and or weddings. And like, my brother lives in Vegas, my sister lives in Kentucky. It's only a 17-hour drive here, but you know, with gas prices and work and just life going on, it's hard to make that travel. I remember before I moved my daughter down here after she graduated high school, she lived in Columbus, Ohio, which is 2.5 hours from where my mom lives, which is 17 hours from here. And so I was taking her home at the end of the school year because she still lived with her mom at the time. And so at the end of the summer, school year was getting ready to start. And so I was going to, I'll just drive up to my mom's house. It's a 14-hour drive. We'll crash there the night. She can visit with grandma, and then I'll drop her off the next day. My Firebird at the time wouldn't make the travel, so I took my fleet van for my computer company. Long story short, took it to get the oil change. We left at midnight, drove, and then we kind of stopped outside of Georgia and slept for a little bit. And then it was like in the middle of August. Long story short, it was so hot that apparently when I took to get my oil change, the high school kids at the oil changing place filled my tires to max capacity instead of leaving them 5 to 6 pounds of pressure underneath. So all that driving in the August heat in Georgia, the first tire blew. Didn't pop, just blew the tread off, just overinflated. Driving down the interstate, fleet van, my daughter's sleeping back. So I get out and I'm like, what the hell? Put the spare tire on, call my dad, say, hey, tire just blew out, don't know why. But when we get to Kentucky, the spare tire is not going to make a round trip 2,000 miles, a spare tire. So we made plans for me to go to Walmart or whatever and get a new tire. No problem. Hit the road. 30 minutes later, kaboom! What the? Almost slid off. I'm like, did that spare tire pop? Went and looked. No, it was a different tire. Mother. So now I'm outside of nowhere, Georgia, on a Sunday. Middle of August is like 5:45 p.m. Get roadside service. They tow us to a local Walmart. Luckily, the manager was nice enough to stay work late to replace 2 tires on my van. I get to Kentucky. My dad texts me the next morning. He's like, do me a favor. Go out and check the tire pressure on the 2 tires that did not blow up. And that's when we discovered, oh, they're maxed out. So we obviously were never able to prove it. But my point is that 13-hour drive turned into a 21-hour odyssey. So I know what you were like, minus the anxiety of almost having your car go off the road twice, of making that 19-hour drive by yourself. That's a long haul. That's a lot of coffee and rest stops.
Yeah. Well, I don't make a rest stop till I need fuel. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Ate breakfast and lunch on the road. Like I said, I got to Memphis in about 10 hours, and it was time for chow at the Cracker Barrel, and then took off all the way across Tennessee. Got almost to Virginia. I wanted to get past you lose an hour heading east. So I got past, Eastern Standard Time, got into that. It was about 01. It's okay. I'm good.
I got a
I'm done.
proposed addition to your trip if you have the ability to take a few more days off. You ever been to Bath, Maine?
Maine.
Yeah. It's short
I
travel.
had a layover in Bangor, Maine, on my way to the big sandbox, but no.
Well, you may want to call the wife, call the work, say you're going to need an extra week off because you're going to Bath, Maine. Dateline June 19th, 2022. The christening of the naval destroyer on Saturday highlighted the sacrifices of 2 generations. The ship's namesake, killed in World War II, and another Marine who died more than 60 years later. The future USS Basilone bears the name of the Marine who was awarded the Medal of Honor before his death on Iwo Jima. So they're just now christening that bad boy up in Bath, Maine. I'm not sure if it's still docked there or not, but
yeah. Well, I actually thought about today before I headed to Long Beach. I was thinking about going up to Raritan to see John Basilone's statue again. Raritan, New Jersey is a beautiful area up near Princeton. And, the statue it's an amazing statue. I've been there a couple times. If I had somebody to ride along that hadn't seen it, I may have done it, but I'm glad I went to Maritime Museum instead. But yeah, that's another recommendation if you're in New Jersey.
I'll say this, guys, and you probably did the right choice on that, Jeff, but for years after the Pacific came out, we used to get an invitation from the folks in Raritan to the John Basilone parade.
Yeah.
And I feel, now that I've re-engaged with all this World War II stuff, I don't get it anymore. And I feel bad that every year I just threw it in the trash, But every year, man, those people were good as gold. They would invite my family and me to that parade. And, I never went, but.
Yeah. I missed it by 1 week last time I was there, and I didn't even know they did it. I just was talking to one of the locals, and she's like, "Oh, you should have been here last week. We did our John Basilone days." Like, what? Oh. But yeah, you can tell the people of Raritan are super proud. When you're out there, you're taking pictures with it or whatever. Folks drive by, they're honking horns like, "That's our boy!" They yell out the window.
Yeah,
That's our man.
I've heard that.
Yeah, super cool. So,
well, might I suggest that during your long drive home, if you want to entertain yourself, maybe around 3 a.m, just put on your aviators. I know you're going to turn the brights on. You won't be able to see, but put on that Mae West vest and that hat and just drive and look at every semi driver like, "Hi." And they're like, "What the hell?" Pretend like you're just flying a B-47 and fighting.
Oh, absolutely.
Just look out the window with your cup of coffee. Hi. Just keep on.
That reminds me of a story. My dad was on Harleys, his whole life, right? And he would actually, going down the interstate, on his big Harley dresser, he would actually scoot back onto the back seat.
Nice.
And, just leave it going and put his arms out like this, like he's holding the driver from nobody there. People would go by and just wave at him.
That's great.
Oh, man.
I had white line fever so bad I could have sworn I saw a World War II pilot driving a Dodge Ram. That's when I knew I had to put the no-dos away. It's about that time. Hey, Henry, what you reading?
I am about 150 pages into Ian Toll's second volume of the Pacific War trilogy. Really enjoying that.
And I know you and I are both the same. We're both looking forward to getting our copies of the book that Jared was on last week talking about.
Yes.
You got to tune in for that podcast, Jeff. We had the author. Jared was back on, and his new book is about spears, and that's coming out.
Wait a minute. You guys are getting a copy, and I'm not?
What's
up with this?
I didn't say we didn't buy them. I'm just saying we went and ordered them, and we got copies coming, and we're looking down to reading those too. But I'm reading this Fatal Dive. What are you reading? Are you reading anything in between your before you hopped in the truck and headed on east?
I mean, besides all my schoolwork, I'm
still in the Caden book. Didn't you say you're still reading?
I'm still in the Caden book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Caden, wasn't he the dude that helped Saburo Sakai write Samurai?
Yes.
That guy, man, he's prolific. I think I have the Flying Fortress, but if I don't, I want to get it.
Oh, man, you should. Yeah. And I didn't realize, I've never seen the movie. I see it come up a lot. The War Lover.
Heard of it.
Oh, gosh. What's Steve McQueen?
Yeah.
I think Steve McQueen's in it. So Caden actually was co-piloted one of the 17s that they flew over for the filming of it. I think there was 3 or 4 fortresses that left from America, went over to, I think they filmed it in England. Huh. And he talks about it in the book. So he kind of prides himself as flying in the very last formation of B-17s, that flew, overseas.
Wow.
In the, I want to say early 60s, 61, 62. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, theater release was October 25th, 1962.
I think I remember seeing that when I was a kid. I just remember a scene of Steve McQueen, like in the shot-up cockpit, and like the control columns just jostling like that, and he's trying to hold it steady. I may not be thinking of the right movie.
Steve McQueen, Robert Wagner, but yeah, 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yep, that came out in 62. That's back when you had.
I guess is Martin Caden. I guess he's long since passed away.
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
I may have that book. I got to check. I know, obviously, I've got Samurai, but
yeah.
So, you guys have any plugs or anything you got coming up you want to get out there?
I'm gonna leave it. Nothing this time.
I actually have something coming up on the 26th. I will be on Sarah, the History Chicks behind the Histories podcast, and then she's going to be coming back on our show because we asked her to come back on to give us her version of the oral history of the USS Indianapolis. Because as we found out the last time she was on the show, that was like her little bugaboo that just bit her, because we all have our own little thing that we're into, and we found out she's into the USS Indianapolis, and so she's coming on the 26th, so catch that, and I will be on her podcast this Thursday, the 23rd, I think 9:30 Eastern time as normal, and so we have those things coming down the pike. And a new addition to the site, and Jeff, you weren't here last week, and you may want to email me links. Now, if you go to WTSPWorldWar2.com, you can see the appearances link, and that is where we will share our appearances on other websites, other projects, other videos. And I think right now, if you go there, you can see links with Henry on a couple episodes of World War II TV. And then we have Jeff's appearance on the Behind the History podcast with Sarah. And so as we get more and more links to add there, you guys can find it. It's just a quick way to view us on other people's projects. And so, as I said, right now, it's a new page on our website. We have the 3 appearances of Henry on World War II TV, and then Jeff's appearance on Behind the Page with Sarah, and then I'll add mine this week. And Jeff, if you have any other links of past projects you want to add to that page, just send them to us, and we will keep that page going. And that is the best way for you guys to support the show. You can find our link on Patreon. You can find our link to our YouTube channel. You can sign up for Patreon. It's $1 a month if you want to help support the cause. We have 2 other platforms too, 2 other tiers as well, but we'd be more than happy if you just sign up for the $1 a month. We have t-shirts for sale. As you see, I got a t-shirt on. Henry has a t-shirt on. Jeff usually has one on as well. You can purchase those from our website. And but the best way, the easiest way, and the cheapest way for you to support the show is just share us with a friend. Whether it's through Facebook, verbally, send somebody a text message, share a link from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, however you listen to the podcast, or directly from our website. And I think that is going to wrap it up for this episode of On the Road with Jeff Copsetta. You guys have anything else you want to put in there before we wrap it up?
No. So did you mention that? So next Monday is when Sarah's coming on?
The 23rd, I'm on hers. The 26th of July. I'm sorry.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because we wanted it close to the anniversary, but obviously we got July 3rd weekend, a holiday. So she looked at her calendar, and we figured the 26th will be the closest date to the anniversary that works, that doesn't step on holidays and whatnots.
Perfect. Yeah, I will be somewhere in Tennessee next Monday evening. I will not be able to hang out.
Now, are you going through Knoxville? Are you going through Nashville? What part of Tennessee are you traveling through?
All 3. I-40.
Oh, yeah. See, I always go north through Tennessee, so I always go through Chattanooga. I've never been. I've never seen Nashville. I've never seen any of those areas.
It's pretty. Yeah.
That's about 2.5 hours north of me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nashville. Nashville is?
Yeah. I'm in Birmingham.
I'm actually thinking about stopping in Nashville because that's the halfway point. I went further this last time, but I'll
Man, if
I'll let
something
you
happens,
know.
yeah, do that. Because I mean, if something, God knows, I don't want your travel plans anything untoward to happen. But if you get into an emergency and you end up further south, man, I'm 2.5 hours south of that. Well, it may be 3, but it's not that far.
If your Keurig runs out of water or anything, Henry will be there for you.
Hey, Henry, I got to pee. Okay, see ya.
Oh, man.
Oh, we're still live, huh?
But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. On that note, thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.